So there's been many discussions on what the future of programming would look like, from whether it will die or not, and what the future jobs of coding will look like. And so what I'd like to do in this video is just share my opinion on what the future of coding looks like, what I'll be doing to get better at programming and adapt with the times and the new technologies that are to come, and finally what I think the future of AI looks like alongside programming. So the first thing we'll cover is the future of dev jobs and what I think that would look like. In 2024, it's mostly just coding and debugging. Now, of course, each job is different. Some may code less, some may do more things, I don't know. But for the most part, for my job right now, it is coding up new things, debugging the problems I have, and of course, like researching on some other aspects. And so the software engineer in 2024 is doing mostly these things. However, what I think the tech job would look like in 2030, for example, is rather than coding and debugging, I believe most of the time that the software engineer will be doing is either prompting an AI for a good piece of code, focusing on design systems, architecture, if I can spell it, and focusing on deeper level concepts that encapsulates an application. And also things such as implementing mathematics and just a deeper level understanding of programming rather than what we have today. And in simple terms, in my opinion, for what tech jobs could look like, again, this is just my opinion, is less code and more thinking. Because if you think about it, code is very inefficient. Like, it takes a long time to do a bunch of things, and I love coding. It's my favorite thing in the world, but it is very inefficient. And I think where the best usage of AI and what I think could happen is that it will code for us based off our good prompts, a lot of these, software engineer prompts. And the software engineers will take that output from the AI, implement it into their application and customize it as they see fit. And rather than just spending 99% of their time in coding, they will spend the majority of their time designing good software, focusing on architecture and software design, implementation into the real world, and more so about thinking and concepts rather than just coding itself. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is the market of programmers. And this one may hurt a few of you because this will be the honest truth, but I think that we will need less programmers. Now, although I don't think AI will totally replace programmers, that's not what I'm trying to say, but I do think as a result of AI being in place and things such as the new devin AI and the better ones to come, I think that coding will be more accessible to the average person and less skill will be required to make a very basic application. And if you know anything about economics, the easier something is to do, the more people will do it, thus there is less demand. In 2020, we had like a crazy amount of tech jobs with huge payments. Like, I wish I started in 2020. There were so many good jobs. And I just don't think that's the world we will live in 2030 and for many years to come. I think as a result of the ease of coding, at least to enter the market, being good at programming is another thing, but just the ease of accessing it will be the downfall of like very high paying jobs for those entry level jobs. And we're seeing this in real time. Like right now, right? An HTML and CSS and JavaScript developer is not really that impressive, but maybe 15 years ago, knowing HTML, CSS and JavaScript was enough for you to get a very high paying job. And as time went on and as it was easier to learn and more information was accessible and more tools were available to newer programmers, the less valuable it was to know those skills. And actually, it's not really less programmers, it's less paid programmers, you could say. But even on top of that, right, I think there will be less programmers at a job as a whole. And what do I mean by like less programmers at a job? I think that with these new tools that we just talked about, it will be easier for less software engineers to do more. So maybe in the past where we would need 10 engineers to make an application, right now with like a really good AI tool, we may need 1 or 2. You can kind of think of this like the rise of like tractors from farms. This will make sense, don't worry. But before we had tractors, we needed a lot of people to run a farm. Like I don't know the exact number because I'm not a farmer, but I would say that there was at least 5 times more people that needed to be at the farm doing a bunch of things, picking crop, milking the cows, whatever it may be. However, nowadays, if you go to a farm, there's not as much as there would be in the past as a result of tractors, of better technology, of the improvement of these tools. And I think with that, with the AIs will come less programmers required to do a bunch of things. And what I think a company could look like in a couple of years is maybe like 2 people engineers and then like maybe 2 high level AIs, and maybe utilizing AI as this like assistance employee for a business may be the move. At least for, startups and smaller level businesses. I know for bigger businesses, you may need more employees because there's a bunch more things, but that's what I think a programmer job would look like at the basic level. And I even think to get this type of job, you'll have to be like a senior level programmer, because you'll have the role of managing and doing a bunch more tasks rather than one small task. And now let's talk about the AI's future, right? Like, what do I think will happen? In my expert opinion, which I'm always 100% right about, I think that it's just going to be smarter than us. I think it'll allow us to do more in less time, focus on more productive things. And in general, I think it'll just change humanity as a whole. I just think that AI is going to be such a great tool, and fearing it taking your job is a very human trait. Like, we're very averse to change, like new technology or like a new way of thinking. And I just think that although, tech may look different in 10 years, there's just no way that it will not make the industry better. And although there may be less jobs or it may be more competitive, I think as a whole, for businesses, for individuals, we could do so much in less time, focus on more productive things, and just change the world as a whole. And in general, I personally, to this day, I still see the future of AI as a super tool. Like, we have applications like whatever I'm using here, App Eraser. AI will be this super tool at a much higher level, of course, that allows an individual to do a lot more with their time, like writing code, doing tasks for us that we don't want to do. Basically like an employee or like another version of us. I don't know. But finally, let's just talk about what to do, right? I've talked a lot about what the future could look like, jobs going away, etc., etc. And although I talked about it a bit, here's what I will be doing to kind of embrace the change and go ahead with the future, because I always want to be a software engineer. I love coding. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And so the first thing I'm doing is just learning deeper level concepts. Like we talked about earlier, I think that a lot of programmers today, at least the newer ones like myself, we don't really focus on deeper level concepts and more complex subjects such as, software design, math. There's a reason why most people who are afraid that AI is going to take their jobs are newer programmers. It's because we don't know enough about the entire space. If you talk to a higher level like software engineer, a senior developer, they're not worried at all, because they know that it is very difficult for their jobs to be replaced, because there's so much more that they do than just coding. They do these things such as design, architecture, thinking beyond just coding, how they could apply this into a bigger application and relate it and make it really more productive for the person using the application. And then just realizing that we need to do more and apply deeper level concepts into our code, and learning these things is, I think, critical if we want to adapt with the times. And so I talked about it in a video. I don't know if it'll be out, but I got a book on data structures and algorithms. I will also be learning the basics of AI, and in addition, getting books on, again, software architecture, software design, and understanding basic mathematics such as calculus, algebra, and whatever the other mathematics we need. And on top of that, like any good software engineer, we need to embrace changes and learning. For example, right, let's say you're a developer that started coding in 1980. You've been coding for 40 years, and you were so hard-headed about the newer programming languages and new applications like VS Code that eventually came out and Copilot, and you just refused to make the change. You would have been not replaced, because your skill would still be valuable, but you would not see the improvement or as much improvement as you would like as a result of a personal hatred towards change. And I just think the winners in almost every industry, especially business, are the people that embrace change and kind of take advantage of the newer technologies. So just embrace what is to come. I am so excited for the new AI technologies to come out. It's going to make me a much better developer. It's going to make me do so much more. And if my future job looks like less coding and focusing more on architecture, so be it. I'll still be able to code on my own time. I still don't care. But just embracing what it is and learning every single day and being open to whatever there is to come, I think that is going to be the best sort of developer in the future. Just stop worrying, okay? Just stop worrying. Just control what you can and do what you can, and you'll be fine. And by the way, if you want to join the developer Discord group, where we have the freaking best community out there. Like, look how active we are. Like, just today, since I've started recording, it's like 9:55. Look how much we have, 78 messages, and just the best. You know, we have feedback, community content, job opportunities, and open source projects that we're starting soon. So if you want to, join, then I will leave the Discord in the description below. And also, if you want the developer roadmap, I will leave that in the description below. And yeah, happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.